Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to your latest Rangers Review members video. We're going to discuss Connor Goldson's impending transfer to Aris Limassol, and who better to speak to than our Cypriot football expert and friend of the show as well, Stel Stilianou from the This Is Mappa podcast. Stel, how's it going?
I'm great, thanks, mate. Yourself?
Very good, thank you. Yeah, for a Friday, pretty busy today in Planet Rangers. There's already been a new signing, and we're expecting, of course, a number of notable departures. So it's been pretty full on so far, but can't complain, I've got to say. But it's great to have you back on still. We're saying off air there when we had you on initially for the Europa League preview last season, the Rangers Aris Limassol match. Little did we know we'd have you on so many, half a dozen times since then. It's been quite something.
Yeah, I didn't expect Cypriot clubs to make as much noise as they've done. So it's okay. I'm happy with it. It's giving the show some exposure. So I appreciate your help.
Yeah, no, I appreciate your help, your expertise. Of course, it was your good self that sort of broke the news. I think last weekend you sort of made me aware that Connor Goldson's likely destination could be Aris Limassol. And it looks like you've been spot on with that one. As soon as this sort of news broke from you guys, still there was you get inundated with Rangers fans saying, surely Cyprus and Aris, can they afford his wages? Why would he go there? All that sort of stuff. But there's a myriad of reasons, I'd imagine, why he's opted to move to Cypriot football. So, can you give us an idea, sort of maybe the attraction for a player to go to a club like Aris Limassol?
Well, put it this way. Aris, they are 94 years old. They've only ever won one league title, and that was 2 years ago. So I wouldn't say that they are steeped in Cypriot football history. They've had a long time in the league. They're not one of those teams that have become insolvent and had to rebrand and come back, and as many clubs have done. Mm-hmm. They've been a yo-yo club, and they were taken over 4 years ago by Mr. Fedorov, and he took them from second division to the first division. In their first season back in the top league, they finished in the Conference League spots. They got knocked out the following season, but then that season they won the league. So, and last season wasn't a great year for them in terms of their league form. They finished fourth, so they didn't qualify for Europe. Now, the thing is with Cypriot football is because of where Cyprus is located on the map. It's close to the Soviet Union, or the old Soviet Union. It's close to the Middle East. It's close to Africa. So over the years, you've seen numerous players from all over the world play in Cyprus. I mean, if you look at the statistics, there are, I think, 80% of the league are foreign, and the other 20%, this is throughout all three leagues, they're all foreign players. Do you get what I'm saying? But we've had some big names play in Cyprus. We had Matt Derbyshire, we've had Jason Punchin, Zay Elias, that played in the Inter Milan team that won the UEFA Cup with Ronaldo and Zanetti. So, and we're still getting these big names. Okay, we're not saying elite names, but names that are household names. Now, the problem with Cypriot football is that there's a lot of corruption, and there's some match fixing's gone on. And as I told you last time, we had issues with away supporters. We've had, I mean, even after you and I did a podcast, we had away fans banned because one fan decided to throw a firecracker at a player that was warming up, and it just blew over. I mean, even before that, we had referees' cars being blown up. I told you these stories before. Yeah. And there's been other things as well that, it's a dirty sport out there. But you have Addison and Buffer, who have got foreign owners, stinking rich, and they have done so much for Cypriot football in terms of changing the infrastructure and trying to change the culture. Now, by that I mean, the moment a foreign owner comes into a Cypriot club, immediately it's, they're laundering their money. And for the most part, it's been proved right. Yeah. Some of these owners don't even stay a year. And this is even Cypriot owners as well, don't forget. I mean, one club, I'm not going to mention their name, and I'm not going to mention the name of the guy. He's no longer with us. But he was a mob boss, and he ran a football club. And I could tell you stories about how his son inherited his fortunes, and he's gone like Mike Tyson, getting a cage built in his back garden because he wants a lion or a tiger. These things happen. So you laugh, but for me, it's normal because I'm used to hearing these things. I've heard much worse, And look, we've heard stories about players that have been released from prison because of sexual assault and they somehow managed to get a passport to play in Cyprus. There's loads of stories. So you have teams like Adi and Buffer who, okay, you can question how the ownership have made their money, but the same applies for Manchester City, for Newcastle, for Chelsea with Abramovich. This is the way that football has gone, right? So I don't know any owner in the world that has got a clean past, a completely clean past, right? So anyway, you've got Adi and Buffer have regenerated the area. If you go to Buffer or Paphos, as it's known, it's completely changed from what I remember going to as a kid. And that's because Mr. Dubov has regenerated parts of the area. The stadium is going to be regenerated or rebuilt. He's got a state-of-the-art training complex. And then you look at Aris, another club that hasn't been owned by Mr. Federer for a long time, but their mentality to football is completely different to a lot of clubs. In fact, most clubs in Cyprus. They have a sporting director, which they trust. They have a CEO who they trust. They have a scouting team globally, which are doing a stellar job. They've restructured the academy. They're bringing in a lot of Cypriot players. And the problem with Ari at the moment, or the problem that they have, is because they're not one of the biggest clubs in Cyprus, it's very difficult for them to attract the local lads. Because the local kids want to play for your Monia, your Apollon. I mean, don't forget there's two more first division clubs in Limassol that are pretty big, Apollon and AEL or AL. So it's very difficult for them to get a foothold and get these youngsters. So as they've done over the years, or since Mr. Federer came in, they've had to use their scouting, use the resources that they have to bring in players that can take them to the next level. And good luck to them, because the players that they've signed, like, for example, Bambika, who scored the goal at Ibrox, they brought him in from a club in Gabon for 65 grand. They sold him for 3 million in January. So it's working for him. They've got players like Karol Strucki, a Polish central midfielder that made the national team, but he picked up an injury before he made it there, so he couldn't play. Kokorin, that was at Fiorentina. They brought him in on loan. Vanna Alves, that was in goal for Porto, that won titles in Porto. They're building players, but building a squad, but based on their scouting, based on their network, etc. So why would Connor Goldson join Adi? They're not in Europe this season. The way I see it is, okay, you could say the financial benefits because they're loaded, Adi. And this is a club that 2022, according to their finances, they made 11 million in revenue, right? So they've got sponsors, they've got commercial partners. Last season, I mean, I don't know how much they made because obviously those finances haven't been divulged, but because they were in the Europa League, because they won the league the year before, and don't forget they were in the Champions League qualifiers, so they made a bit of money from that as well. So there's other things, player sales, etc. So I'm sure he's going to get a nice wage packet. I don't know how much he's going to be on. I don't know if it's going to be a loan or if it's going to be a transfer. It wouldn't surprise me if they're able to buy him outright because they've got the money. But then you've got the FFP to worry about. But find a way. I mean, like I said, they're making a lot of commercial deals right now, which obviously is going to help. So again, why Adi? They're not in Europe. Well, Adi are going to be title contenders this season. In fact, I put them down as my favorites. I've watched them in season. They look sharp. They've looked, and they've been very wise with their incomings and their outgoings as well. They brought in Kvili Daya, who was at Abour last season, the captain. He won the league with Abour last season. He's a Georgian international who's at the Euros. He's gone from Abour to Adi, and that's a big statement because that doesn't happen. I can't think. I mean, you talk about Figo going from Real Madrid to Barcelona to Real Madrid.
Real Madrid,
yeah. I mean, that shocked what happened in Cyprus. But people were saying, "Oh, it's because of the money that they're throwing at it." Well, yeah, they are throwing money at it, but as have other clubs over the years. So it's just because they're a small club that may get 2,000-3,000 fans every home game, and there's always that. The owners laundering the money. I think it's pathetic. I mean, I even spoke to Joel Damahu, who's the sporting director. I spoke to him on my podcast, and he just laughed at it when I asked him about it. I said, look, people are saying that you're laundering money. He's just like, well, of course that's going to happen because we're successful. And there's always, but. Okay, saying that it's not being done because I don't know the ins and outs. But again, it's so easy to say, oh, he's laundering his money. Because, well, if he's doing it, he's doing a bloody good job because he's got a good squad there and a good team that's going to be successful for God knows how long.
Yeah.
Interesting stuff. A few comments coming in on the chat. First one, LT1872 says, "Good work, Stell, for breaking the news." Yeah, absolutely bang on. Just about moving to Cyprus as well. William with the point says it's a lifestyle as well. Do you think is it a cushy lifestyle? Do you think over there, Stell, for a player?
Put it this way, Cyprus isn't 100 miles an hour. I mean, I've only been to Glasgow once, and living in London, if Glasgow is similar in terms of the culture, then it's non-stop. In Cyprus, it's we're going to do something, but we'll do it tomorrow. You know, if you own a 24-hour plumbing company, you will be a millionaire by the end of the month, because all the others, no disrespect to them, it's like, I'll come around tomorrow, and then tomorrow comes and it's the day after. So there's no hustle and bustle. It's calm, and Limassol is a beautiful city. It's right on the coast. There's so many beaches. It's multicultural, and I don't think he's going to get heckled like he would anywhere else. I mean, he was on the plane flying to Austria.
I know that was
videos of him.
I don't get my head. I don't understand idiots like that do that. And then I think it's going to be what the reaction on social media is not what they expected. It was if you do that sort of stuff, you're just low life for me. Yeah,
it's embarrassing. And to be honest, with the Cypriot culture, they see it as rude. You know, you don't just film someone, and there are Cypriot laws that say you can't film someone without their permission and put them on social media. So there's those two sides of the coin as well. I think he would love the lifestyle. As I said, I don't know about the religious side of things. I don't know if he's a religious guy, but it's Greek Orthodox, very church going. And again, there's loads of holidays as well. Loads of religious holidays. So he's going to enjoy himself. And there's a winter break. So.
Yeah. Denzel with a point, and some nice words for yourself, Stella. Says Stella is always fluent and well informed. Always a pleasure to see him on the pod. So some nice words for your good self there, Stella.
I'm surprised you can understand me because of my accent. It's the Cockney accent.
William gets back in touch. He says, "I was in Limassol 4 years ago. Watched old guys build a wall at a graveyard. I was there for 2 weeks, and they laid about 3 bricks and drinking beer while doing it." So there you go. That sums up the lifestyle over there.
I've seen people at petrol stations smoking cigarettes while they've been putting petrol in the car. Just don't care. This is Cyprus. This is why I call it "This is Muppa," because Muppa is a Cypriot word for football, and anything that you can't explain in Cyprus, you just say this is Cyprus. Just how things are done.
Yeah, you mentioned you rhymed off some. I mean, some big names have played in Cyprus, of course, but Connor Goldson arriving, well, that not only enhance Aris Limassol, of course, but the game over there is a bit of a coup. I'd imagine having a guy, a high caliber guy for Rangers join.
For sure, and not just because of the name, but because obviously he's come from Glasgow Rangers. And while I've seen on social media a lot of fans saying, "Oh, we don't want him anyway," the fact is, for Connor Goldson to come to Cyprus, it can only help the island. For many reasons. Not just because it would appear that I'd have prized him from Rangers, which make of that what you will. But you're looking at and I'm sorry to do this, especially on your show, but since I've been doing This Is Muppa, I've seen a lot of negative comments from people. And I'm not digging out Glasgow Rangers. I'm sort of fans in general, Celtic fans from England, the Premier League, whatever. And it's like, it's a farmers league, why would this people come here? And that seems to be the general feeling from a lot of people, not saying everyone, but a lot of people. And when you have a player like him coming to Cyprus at a very good age, I mean, how old is he now?
31.
I mean, when we had the big names coming to Cyprus, like Kavanaghi and John Arisa, they were like 34, 35.
Yeah.
So they were the back end of their careers. So for him to come at a prime age, it just shows that there is pull in Cyprus, and it gives us the feeling that, you can come to play in our league because it is more competitive than what you think. I've spoken to various players that have played in Cyprus, and we're talking about players that have played in La Liga, in Serie A, and they said, you go to Cyprus and you think, lovely island, beautiful, people are nice. But then when you get on that football pitch, because people know your name, because they know your reputation, they step it up by another 20, 30, 40%, and it makes it very difficult. Many players who have played in big leagues have come to Cyprus and failed. Berahino being one of them. He was at IL for 2 years. Couldn't get a kick. Kevin Miralles did okay. He did okay, but didn't set it on fire. Brandon Barker. He came and he was gone. So, look, it's hit miss or maybe with British players coming to Cyprus. I haven't off the top of my head, I can't think of many that have come and succeeded. As I said, Matt Derbyshire, Jason Puncheon, those are just off the top of my head.
Tell you one player still, we discussed him, a former Ranger that has done well in Cyprus, and he seems to have a very good agent, and that is Dalcio. Joined Red Star Belgrade, didn't he, recently, which is a great move for him.
That's right, absolutely. And look, with Dalcio, he started off very slow at Abo. His first season, he was a bit of a dud, in all fairness. But his second season with Sapinto as head coach, he became a revelation. And when his contract was up, there were many clubs in Cyprus looking for him, especially Bafo, who've got a lot. Again, as I mentioned, they're very well financed. Let's just put it that way. But again, going back to the names in Cyprus, if you look at Bafo, Mr. Dubov, the owner of the club, he runs an agency and he works alongside Michel Salgado, who, as you know, played for Real Madrid and is a big name. Mendieta was on the board at Bafo at one point. So again, we've got these big names that have come in the past, and it's helping build the league. But we need teams like, I'm an Omonia fan, so it wouldn't be great for me to say this, but we need teams like Ari and Bafo to be successful in Europe. We need them to get into the the group stages as opposed to the qualifying, because it helps the league. So, yeah.
In terms of the home supporters, what can you expect at it's still the Alpha Mega Stadium, isn't it? I mean, what's the sort of normal attendance for them there?
2,000-3,000.
Okay.
4,000 at a push. But see, the thing is, when they play European games, fans of other clubs buy tickets to support them or just to go see the opponents. So they get more than that. But again, I think it's a cultural thing, because the two big clubs in Cyprus, Omonia and Abuel. Omonia, last night we played a Conference League qualifier. We had 14,000. Abuel had 12,000 in their Champions League qualifier. Then you've got Apollon, Ael, and Orthosis. So it's a small island. You've got 1 million people on that. And it's an island split in half as well. So you've got 1 million people. So there's not going to be a massive attendance, but as you know, success earns supporters or gains supporters. Yeah. So maybe 10, 15 years time, if Ari are the dominant team, then you're going to see the younger generation following them, like what they do with Apoel, because a lot of the Apoel fans now, or should I say the 30-year-olds, were following Apoel when they were in the Champions League, when they beat Lyon and then played against Real Madrid, and that's when they started following them, and they carried it on since then. So maybe that's what Ari needs, that success to get the fans there.
Yeah. Now, you mentioned there, not entirely sure if it's a permanent deal or maybe a loan, or a loan with an option to buy, what have you. What's your inclination? Do you think it'll be an outright transfer for him? Because I think Rangers were, there's conflicting reports about how much they'll be looking for a guy with 2 years left on his contract, although he is handsomely paid at Rangers. I think it's more to do with just getting them off the wage bill.
Yeah, again, I've been trying to do a bit of digging on that, in all fairness, and I've been trying to find out if it's going to be a loan, if it's going to be a permanent move. All I can tell you is that he's with the club now. He's in the hotel in Austria, and he's going to play on Sunday for sure. As I said, he hasn't put pen to paper yet. I am hoping that they buy him outright. Yeah, because again, it's kind of like, pardon the terminology, but sticking a middle finger up to people that said they can't afford him. Yeah, But even if it's a loan, they're still going to have to pay his wages. And I'm guessing Rangers are going to want a bit of a fee for that. That's what normally happens these days. But again, it wouldn't surprise me if they buy him outright. But I'm sorry, I can't answer your question.
Yeah, no, that is, we're not sure either what the situation is with regards to that. I'm sure we'll find out in due course. Just a sort of lifestyle question here from Denzel. He says, do you still think the players have a good quality of life, good schools, medical facilities, etc.? Yeah.
There's a lot of American and British academies out in Cyprus. In fact, my friend is a teacher at one in Limassol, which is around the corner from the Alpha Mega Stadium. And one of his students is an Omonia player, first team player, 16, 17-year-old, which is quite... So English is a second language. Okay, it's slowly becoming the third language because there's a lot of Russian influence out there, and Russian is taught in schools. But finding a school won't be a problem. The club will help him out. The medical facilities, we've got so many different doctors from all over. And don't forget, because we're close to the Middle East, there's a lot of doctors from Saudi, from various other countries. So, as I said, where Cyprus is located, it's great. The only thing I would worry about is an earthquake, really.
Is that common over there?
It happens. It happens, yeah.
Okay.
It happens.
Well, hopefully he doesn't have to endure that. But thanks for that, Denzel. Right, that was very interesting on Goldson. Like you say, I think it's many raised eyebrows when you broke the news still. But yeah, I think the majority of Rangers fans that will wish Connor well. I think he's been a very good servant to the club. Spent 6 years at Rangers, very rarely injured as well. He was injured a bit last season. He got injured, he came off at halftime against Liverpool, and Rangers capitulated in the second half, and then he got injured at the tail end of last season. But that aside, very robust, and I'm sure he'll be an asset to Aris going forward. In terms of your team, you mentioned Ammonia. What's your aspirations this season still?
Oh God. I laugh because we've had such a tumultuous 12 months that I can't even envisage what's going to happen. Look, I'm taking this game by game. We got a good victory last night in the Conference League against Torpedo Kutaisi, a team from Georgia. They were 18 games unbeaten. I think Steve Keen's their head coach as well.
Yeah.
So we got a good result there. We've just got to be positive. The transfers that we've made this summer make sense, I guess. I think there's still 2 or 3 more to come. We signed Helander, so maybe he'll meet up with Goldson.
Yeah, right enough. Yeah. Phil Helander's there, so that'll be interesting.
Yeah. And have a look. You've just got to try and stay positive. But as I said, Adi have got a good squad. They've got a very good squad. When you've got players like Kokorin and Kvilidaya and Morgan Brown, Strutsky, Montnor. I'm just reading off names. I mean, they're such a good team. But then you've got Upwell, who brought in Max Meyer, the German that was at Crystal Palace a few years ago. They're looking pretty decent. Buffalo, I mean, I know they're struggling in Europe at the moment, but they're going to be in and around the top 4. And then there's my team, who I just hope that we do something. I don't want 3rd place. Give me a cup. I mean, we won it back to back, and we lost the final. We would have won 3 in a row if we won the cup final last season, just gone. But I just want us, because Dambrauskas is a good coach. I think he's a good coach, but the hierarchy just annoys me a little bit.
Yeah. Right. That'll do. If you want to follow Stel, and he does great work covering Cypriot football, this is Mappa over on Twitter. And if they want to listen to your podcast or watch your podcast, Stel, how do they find you? Yeah,
we just do a search on YouTube for NC Network, which is November Charlie Network, and all of our shows. So we've got the Ammonia shows, we've got the This is Mappa, we've got other shows as well coming soon. So,
yeah, good stuff. I'll stick the link in the description as well, folks. But thanks for tuning in. Big thanks to Stel once again. Hopefully you enjoyed that, folks. Enjoy the rest of your Friday. Bye for now.